Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavat overview class. We'll start with our prayers. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagranyataam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we have completed 5th chapter of the 2nd canto yesterday. So, we saw how Parikshit Maharaj, he began asking Shukdev Goswami, he asked 3 questions. Actually 4 questions. What is the duty of everyone? What is the duty of a person who is about to die? What one should hear, chant and remember, and what one should not hear, not chant and not remember. In response to this, Shukdev Goswami said one should not chant and remember and hear about the things and the talks of this world. We should hear about, chant and remember the names of Krishna, perform bhakti yoga. And that is the ultimate goal of everyone in this world. Then after describing this, he saw that there were some sages in the assembly who were inclined towards Ashtanga Yoga. So Shukdev Goswami describes about the Ashtanga Yoga process and how Ashtanga Yogi attains liberation by the process of direct liberation. The one who is detached from the desires of this world, he gets liberated directly and he attains Brahman. And one who is not detached, so he still has material desires, he gets liberation by Krama Mukti. And after describing this, when Shukdev Goswami, he glorifies bhakti. He says bhakti is the only path and is the most auspicious path. Nahi ato anya shiva pantha vishata samsrita viha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo yato bhavit. And he describes the benefits of the sadhana bhakti. And then he describes there are some unintelligent people who worship devatas. And these people, if they get association of devotees, then they can also start practicing bhakti. Only by association of devotees one can attain bhakti. And then after that, Shukdev Goswami became silent. Then all the sages of Naimisharanya, they request Sud Goswami, please keep speaking, because the purpose of life is to hear Hari Katha. And they limb by limb give the description of animalistic person who do not have any devotion unto the Supreme Lord. And then they request Sud Goswami, you please describe the talks which happened between Parikshit Maharaj and Suta Goswami. And then after this, Suta Goswami starts the description of what happened next. And he described how Parikshit Maharaj, by his hearing of the instructions given by Shukdev Goswami, he gave up all the attachment to his family. And he asked few questions to Shukdev Goswami. He asked, please tell me about the creation pastimes of the Lord, and then you explain me describe the Leela avatar, the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. So in response to this, Shukdev Goswami offers beautiful prayers, and then he starts the description by quoting a conversation between Narad Muni and Brahma. So one time Narad Muni approached Brahmaji and he asked, I think you are the supreme in this entire creation. everything is created by you, maintained by you, destroyed by you. I think you are the supreme. There is nobody superior to you. You have kept everything in your hand, just like a small amalaki fruit. You are like a spider, spins the web and then again retracts it. I think you are the supreme. Brahmaji says, no, actually it is because of the Maya potency of the Lord, living entities, they consider me to be the supreme. And then, after establishing the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, Lord Brahma, he starts answering various questions which are asked by Narad Muni. And he had asked 6 questions. Yad Rupam, Yad Adhishthanam, Yad Srishtam, Yad Samstham, Yad Param, and Yad Cha. So, Narad Muni had asked, please describe the symptoms of this universe. Please describe what is the shelter of this universe. Please describe the process of creation of this material world. Please describe how it is created and conserved and annihilated, what it depends on, and what are the ingredients of this material world. So all the technical discussion of the material creation is described in these chapters. So Brahmaji starts the description by saying that Supreme Lord, he creates Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhava, and Jiva. And therefore, Supreme Lord is the direct cause of this entire material world. It is on the Supreme Lord Narayan everything depends on. Everything is sheltered in the Supreme Lord Narayan. Narayan Paraveda, Narayan Paragmakha, Narayan Paraveda, Narayan Parantapa. And so many things are described by Brahmaji. And then we saw how in the last slide, so this described about the creation, how Mahavishnu, he produces Dravya and then glances on it. Jiva, Kala, Karma and Swabhav are put in that, transforms into Pradhan, which transforms into Mahatattva. Mahatattva under various modes transform into Ahankar, which is predominantly in mode of ignorance. Ahankar in the different modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, creates all the elements of this material world. After creating this element, this whole material world with all the material elements, they are created, but they are all separate. So then Lord glances, and by his glance, by his cohesive potency, the elements they combine and they form the shell of this material universe. After the shell is formed, Karanodakshaya Vishnu expands and enters each and every universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Seeing the universe to be empty, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu fills this entire creation, entire universe with his own perspiration and then lies down on it. And then from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Brahmaji, a lotus comes, and on that lotus, Brahmaji takes birth. So this is what we discussed till yesterday. And then 6th chapter, Brahma starts answering the another question, Yatcha, what are the ingredients of this material world? So Prabhupada entitles this chapter as Purush Shukta Confirmed. So why this chapter is entitled by Prabhupada as Purush Sukta Confirmed? Because Purush Sukta, it is most commonly Vedic hymn which comes in Rig Veda. It is mentioned in Rig Veda and it is recited in lots of ceremonies, Vedic ceremonies. And in that, many of the verses which are mentioned in Purush Shukta, they are similar to the verses which are mentioned in this chapter. But there is some important detail which is given in this chapter. In the Purusha Shukta, what is that Purusha is not mentioned clearly. So, all the various Vedic rituals, everybody chants this Purusha Shukta. Even if it is for Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, in all the Vedic rituals, Purusha Sukta is chanted. But in this chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam confirms who is that Purusha which is mentioned in these Vedic hymns. And Bhagavatam mentions very clearly that the Purusha which is mentioned in Purush Sukta is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And that's why this chapter is entitled as Purush Sukta, confirmed by Srila Prabhupada. So in this chapter, Brahmaji starts the explanation that Lord is the direct and the indirect cause of the entire universe. And he says that, from the Lord's subtle sense organ. So before that, we'll have to understand what is a gross and what is subtle sense organ. So the gross sense organ is the physical things which we can see: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the touch. But there is a subtle sense organ which actually perceives the sense objects of the world. When the eyes, they are seeing, the actual act of perception is done by a subtle sense organ. So Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse which comes, 15th chapter. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam evacha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. Shrotram chakshu. Shrotra means the process of hearing. It is not ears. It is a process of hearing. The subtle sense organ. Chakshu is not eyes. So gross organ, eyes, is called as aksha, akshi in Sanskrit. Subtle sense organ is called chakshu. The gross sense organ of the taste is called talu. And the subtle sense organ is called jihva in Sanskrit. Jihva is not the gross, that is the subtle. And then smell comes. The smell, the gross thing which we can see, that is called nasika. And the act of perception, the act of smelling, is done by a subtle sense organ, that is called ghrana. So therefore, as you can see in this slide, Lord also has a subtle sense organ and a gross sense organ. So this Lord is referring to Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So from this Garbhodakshay Vishnu's subtle organ, the sense objects come. That is called tan matras. So tan matra means the sense objects. The what is that sense object? Tan matra. That is the for example, if the thing is touch, so the object which is touching the body is called the sense object. If it is smelling, so the smell is called the sense object. That is called tan matra. So from the Lord's subtle sense organ, the sense objects and the elements, they come. And from the gross sense organ of the Lord, so the sense devatas, because every sense, it has a predominating deity. And from the gross sense organ of the Lord, this subtle sense organ of the Virata, Rupa and Jiva, they are formed. So it is all little technical details. So the first 16 verses of the 6th chapter describes how in this creation everything is coming from the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, to show that the ingredients which are needed for the creation, they are coming from the body of Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu is everything. So from the beginning we are seeing Lord Vishnu gives the primary characteristics to this material world: Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhav and Jiva. Then everything depends on Vishnu. Then in the process of creation, Lord Vishnu plays the crucial role. And then all the ingredients are also coming from Lord Vishnu. So the prime objective of the questions of Narad Muni is to prove that Lord Vishnu is the ultimate cause of all causes. So therefore, after describing in first 12 verses how everything is coming from the Lord's gross and subtle sense organ, then Brahmaji is telling to Narada, "O Narada, myself, Lord Shiva, and all the living entities, whatever existed in the past, present and future, they are all covered by the universal form of the Lord. But the Lord is not under the control of this material nature. He is transcendental." And very wonderfully, Brahmaji says he extends beyond the universe by 10 fingers. So what does this mean that Supreme Lord extends beyond the universe by 10 fingers? Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is stated to express his superiority to the universe. That Supreme Lord, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he is transcendental. Although he is engaged in all the activities of this universe, but still he is transcendental. It is not described just to tell the dimension, because Supreme Lord cannot be measured, he is unlimited. In the Purusha Shukta also it is said, Sabhumim sarvatas prishtva atyatishtad dashangulam. Atyatishtad dash angulam. He extends beyond the universe by 10 fingers. So this is just some allegorical way of telling that he is beyond this material universe. So then after explaining, Brahmaji now is telling to Narad Muni about the spiritual world where Lord lives, all the spiritual planets, and the material world. So very important description is given by Brahmaji. He says the material world is 1/3 of the spiritual world, and he names it as Ekpad and Tripad. So if you consider a circle and you divide it into 4 parts, so the material world is just 1/4 and the spiritual world is 3/4. Again, it is not the exact dimensions which are given. This is just to tell that material world is very, very limited and spiritual world is unlimited. So therefore, Brahmaji says that Krishna is not the Lord of this world, but he's the Lord of the spiritual world also, and is beyond this material world. It is difficult to measure the qualities and the glories of the Supreme Lord. And then Brahmaji describes the qualities of the material world and the qualities of the spiritual world. He says the material world is characterized by dukkha and bhaya, but the spiritual world is characterized by amritam, kshemam, and abhayam. Amrita means deathless, kshema means all happiness, and abhaya means fearlessness. That is what we want in this world. No fear, all happiness, and I don't want to die. In the very old times there was one song, Aachal ke tujhe main leke chalun ek aise gagan ke tale jahan gam bhi na ho, aasu bhi na ho, bas pyar hi pyar. So all these things, they are describing actually the supreme abode of the Lord, but the right person who has written these songs, he does not have any conception, because this is what everybody wants in this world. Everybody wants to be deathless, everybody wants to be happy, and everybody wants to be fearless. So therefore, that is possible only when we go to the spiritual world. And then he says, Brahmaji is saying very beautiful verse, where he's describing spiritual world is for those people who are free from material desires. In the spiritual world, there is no rebirth. Material world are meant for those who are griha medhis and abrihad vrata. What is griha medhi? There is grihastha and there is a griha medhi. So grihastha means who has made Krishna as a center of his life. Griha medhi means medha means intelligence. His entire intelligence is focused on maintaining his family. And abrihad vrata means they cannot follow the vows of celibacy. So Prabhupada in this purport very heavily focuses on training the youth of the current generation, so that in celibacy. And therefore Prabhupada writes the highest benefit that can be awarded to a human being is to train him to be detached from sex life, particularly because it is only due to sex indulgence that the conditioned soul undergoes repeated birth and death. But then he says, at present moment, At present moment, all the human civilization is a fourth class civilization, where there is no restriction in the sex life, and that's why Prabhupada was very, very strong in focusing and stressing this point of celibacy. One person came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, if you just decrease, one of the four principles which you are telling, the number of your disciples will increase 100 times, and everybody knows what was that principle. So therefore, when Saraswati Thakur, he sent his initial disciples, all the sannyasis to London to preach this message. So all these sannyasis, they were preaching to one British lord. And British lord, he went to these devotees and told him that, can you make me a Brahmana? And they said, yes, no problem. You just follow some principles and it will make you a Brahmana. So he said, okay, what are the principles? So they said, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. And that British lord said, impossible, not possible for me to follow all these things. So therefore, Prabhupada was very, very heavy that today's society is a society of cats and dogs. People are producing children without any consideration, without any restrictions of the time, place, and circumstance, because they don't know that it depends on the consciousness of a person. They attract a particular soul. As there was one famous rock star, Beatles. Beatles group was there, and in that there was one person, John Lennon. He said, what can we expect of this society when 90% of the people, especially in the Western world, they are born on the Saturday night under the influence of alcohol. So that is what is happening. That is what we are taking the world to. So therefore, this Krishna consciousness is the greatest need of the hour if we want to save the society. So therefore, we have to personally follow these principles very strictly, given in the Bhagavatam, the principles of Varnashram Dharma. We have to maintain our family, but that is not the purpose of life. The purpose of this human form of life is to attain the Supreme Lord Krishna. So therefore, Brahmaji is saying, those people who are in this material world, they are grihamedhi and they are abrihad vrataha. They are attached to family life and they do not strictly follow the celibacy vows. And then he says that living entities who are in ignorance, they are on the path of enjoyment. Living entities who are in knowledge, they are on the path of liberation. And he says, Supreme Lord is the shelter of both these paths. Both Jiva and the Lord, they are called Purusha. Both are enjoyers. Lord is Supreme Purusha. He is the supreme shelter of spiritual world and the material world also. So therefore, when we take shelter of the Lord, then we can get knowledge. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Whoever worships me with faith, I give them strength, I give them knowledge, I give them remembrance by which they can come to me. So then he says that, Supreme Lord, he creates and maintains this material world through his energies, but he is aloof from it. He is not of this world. So one time Prabhupada was giving a class, and somebody was there in the class, and he said, Prabhupada was saying that Krishna has inconceivable potencies. He can do anything in this world. We have heard the famous song, Anhoni ko honi kar de, honi ko anhoni. So that is just in the song, but Krishna can actually do it. So after the class, one person raised his hand and he said, Swamiji, you are saying God can do anything? Can he make a stone which he cannot lift? So that was a tricky question, But Prabhupada, he was so very genius. He was guided by Krishna within his heart, as Paramatma within his heart. He said, yes, God can make a stone which he cannot lift, and then he'll lift it. So that is the inconceivable potency of Krishna. He is the supreme source of this material world and spiritual world also. So therefore, after describing all this, now Brahmaji, he is substantiating whatever he has said by his own experience. So he says, Brahmaji says that, when I took birth, I appeared from the lotus, which was coming from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. I could not see any ingredients for sacrifice. Because, when Brahmaji was born, so he was completely confused what to do, what I am supposed to do, which sacrifice to do, how to perform sacrifice, because there was nothing. It was all empty, It was the beginning of the creation, day one of Brahma. Today the Brahma is 51 years old. Day one of Brahma, he is telling, when Brahma took birth. So Brahmaji is saying that, when I was born from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, I saw that there is nothing in this universe, because he could not see Garbhodaksha Vishnu. He was just seeing that he is there on the lotus flower and there is a stem which is going down. So then he prayed to Supreme Lord, and then from the limbs of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, that is, limbs means all this material universe. He collected all the ingredients from the bodily limbs of Garbhodaksha Vishnu and worshipped the same Supreme Lord. And later, Prajapatis were born, and then he's saying you were born, Manus, sages, everything was manifested. So therefore, Brahmaji says that Supreme Lord Vishnu is the source of this entire universe, and I have personally witnessed this. Then after giving the answers to the questions of Narad Muni, Brahmaji summarizes. He says, Narayan is the shelter of this universe. Only by his empowerment I create and Lord Shiva destroys. And there is nothing as cause or effect apart from the Supreme Lord. He is the only cause and effect of this entire universe. So this is a summary of whatever creation Brahmaji has described. So if anybody is not able to understand क्या हुआ, पता ही नहीं चला, कब बोला और निकल भी गया, हम तो देखते रह गए, प्रभु जी कभी समझाएंगे. So if somebody has this problem, don't worry about it. Just understand the simple thing. Supreme Lord Narayan is the basis of this entire creation. Everything is coming from Narayan. Everything is maintained by Narayan. And everything is destroyed by Narayan in the form of Lord Shiva. So this is a summary of the whatever we have spoken till now. Then Brahmaji says, somebody may say, why should I believe your words? Narad Muni, Brahmaji says, why you should believe my words? Because my words never ever go wrong. Na bharati me anga mrishopalakshate na vai kvachin me manaso mrishagati. Na me rishika nipatantya satpathe yanmay hridotkanthявata dhrito harihi. So this is a very beautiful verse. And we should try to follow this and practice this in our life. So Brahmaji is saying, I have caught hold the lotus feet of Lord Hari with great zeal. Yanmay hridot utkanthyavata dhrito harihi. Utkanthyavata, with great zeal, I have caught hold of the lotus feet of Lord Hari. So in our process of devotional service, the more we are eager, the more we will advance. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukritirna labhyate. So if we want to taste that nectar of Harikatha, some nectar is there, all of us must have experienced few drops of that nectar and we want more. So how to get the more of this nectar? We have to be eager. So Brahmaji is saying, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Hari with great zeal, three things are happening in my life. Na bharati me anga mrisha upalakshate. Mrisha means false. Bharati means words. My words never prove to be false. Whoever follows Krishna consciousness, he becomes so pure, so empowered that his words never go wrong. Just like Prabhupada, he just desired, he wanted to have devotees in Russia. And when he went to Russia, it was the time of KGB. There was iron curtain, nobody was allowed with any religious books. Somehow Shyamsundar Prabhu, he went with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he could meet only two people, actually three people. One Professor Kotovsky, and apart from that, he met two people. One, the son of an ambassador of India, and there was another Russian. Prabhupada, he taught him everything, and he gave whole Krishna conscious philosophy in just 5 days. And because Prabhupada, he saw that this boy is so very eager to receive Krishna consciousness, he said, we can check if the rice is cooked by just touching one grain of rice. And he said, for sure, this Russia will become very, very favorable, and all the citizens of Russia will take to Krishna consciousness with great enthusiasm. And it came true. And personally, in the case of our Chowpatty temple, one time Prabhupada came to this Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, and after coming down after the program, with his cane, Shyamsundar Prabhu was there. With his cane, he pointed out in the direction of the temple, where the temple is today, and he said, and we should have a temple at this place. So these are the words of pure devotee, which never goes wrong. Na bharati mayang mrishopalakshate, na vai kvachin me manaso mrishagati. Manaso mrishagati, my mind is never deterred from the right path. All of us have such trouble, such difficulty controlling our mind. But just imagine, if we become pure devotee, mind will naturally be drawn towards Krishna. At present, if you allow your mind to roam around, oh my God, it will go to all the abominable places. We cannot even imagine. That is our natural conditioned mind at present. But the pure devotee's mind naturally goes towards Krishna. And thirdly says, Name rishikani patantya satpathe. He says, my senses, they are never degraded by temporary attachment to matter. These are the three things which we want in our bhakti. Our words may go always true. My mind should not get attracted to the wrong things. My senses should not get distracted towards matter. How it will be possible? I was hearing one lecture of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He was saying that Krishna is not so much concerned when we are chanting attentively. Krishna is concerned, are we endeavoring to chant attentively? So Krishna is concerned with our endeavors. Because for a pure devotee, it is fun. He's in ecstasy chanting. But Krishna, when he sees that here is a person, he is endeavoring to chant. That endeavor pleases Krishna. So that's how we have to understand. The more we endeavor to chant properly, the more we will be pleasing Krishna. After all, our whole movement is for what? Why we are doing so much of tapasya? To please Krishna. And when Krishna will be pleased, Krishna is not so much pleased when we are chanting pure rounds. Of course, he is happy. But when he sees that there is one person, one devotee, he is struggling to chant attentively, our struggle pleases Krishna. So therefore, we should not give up our struggle. The struggle will take us ahead in Krishna consciousness. Somato svinna gatraya visrishta kavarasraja drishtva parishramam krishnam kripaya asit swabandhane. When Krishna, he saw Somatu svinna gatraya. This is Damodar Leela. So Mother Yashoda, she is trying to bind Krishna from afternoon to evening. Her whole body is getting covered with sweat. The flowers on her hair are falling. Swamatu swin means sweat. Vishrishtak kavarasraja, the flowers are falling. Drishtva parishramam. When Krishna saw the struggle of Mother Yashoda, Kripaya asit swabandhane, then Krishna, out of his mercy, he got bound. So therefore, our whole process is to struggle to come close to Krishna. We should not be so much disturbed and guilty. Many times devotees, they become so much disturbed, so much guilty, and they become discouraged. Arey, itne salon se kuch nahi ho raha hai, Prabhuji. Chanting since so many years, still same thoughts, still inattentive chanting, still I am sleeping in japa, still I am sleeping in class, still my mind is going towards all sense gratification. No problem, don't worry about that. We are not concerned with becoming pure. We are concerned with pleasing Krishna. And it is Krishna's job to make us pure. So we should not be so much concerned, I want to become pure devotee. That is still a motive. Bhakti is anya bilashita shunyam. We should not have the desire, I'll become pure. Our desire should be, we have to struggle to the best of our capacity to please Krishna. Because Krishna is pleased by our struggles. So now, Brahmaji, by his example, is showing what is there in store for all of us. Na bharati myangam rishopalakshate, na vai kvachin me manaso mrishagati, na me rishika nipatantya satpate, yanmai ridotkanthявata dhrito harihi. So therefore, he says that because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord with great zeal, whatever I am speaking, it comes true. My mind never gets deterred and my words never go wrong. My senses, they never get degraded. Then after telling all this, he says, but even though I have so much of these qualifications, so many of these qualifications, but still I cannot understand Lord. I am coming in proper chain of disciplic succession. I am successfully I am following all the austerities. I have undergone all the austerities. And I have worshipped all the Prajapatis. And I am expert in mystic powers and self-realized. But still I cannot understand the Supreme Lord. So to understand Lord is not possible for anyone in this world. So therefore he says that, what to speak of me? Even Lord cannot understand his own glories. That is a very interesting thing he says. He says even Lord himself is unable to estimate his own limits, glories. He is not able to find. Then what to speak of others? So therefore what we should do? The best is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Because by surrendering to the Supreme Lord, Bhavabandha chide tasye sparehami namuktaye bhravan prahur aham dasa iti yatra vilipyate. Hanumanji is saying, oh my Lord, I do not want liberation. I want to be attached to serving your lotus feet. I do not want to get liberated. I just want your service. And Brahmaji is saying, when we serve the Lord, surrender to the Lord, naturally the outcome will be free from this material existence. Because surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord is all auspicious. It allows one to perceive all the happiness, So that is how Krishna consciousness is all auspiciousness. Shubhada, we discussed in Nectar of Devotion. It is all auspicious. It gives all happiness. Sandrananda Visheshatma, So therefore, Brahma is saying, although I am not able to understand the activities of Krishna, still I glorify his activities to the extent I have understood. So we should not feel, again I am saying, we should not feel, जब मैं पूरा भगवद गीता, भागवतम, चैतन्य चरितामृत खत्म करूंगा, then only I'll start preaching. No, we should not wait till then. Whatever we have heard, tell to somebody, Now most of the people are staying at home. Just everybody has mobile, 4G connection, with all, video calling and everything is possible. Call your friends, call your relatives, speak Krishna Katha, tell them something about Krishna consciousness. By the end of this, whenever, I don't know when it will get over, when the things go normal, maybe months or years, whenever it may come normal, we should, have more devotees waiting to come and meet each other. Therefore, we should not wait. Whatever we have heard, just tell to somebody else. This is the best way of learning. When we speak this message of Krishna consciousness, we learn twice. As it is said, teaching is learning twice. So whatever we heard, whatever we know, just tell somebody. Tathapi kirtayamyanga yathamati yathashrutam kirtir harer swam satkartum giram manya bhidasatim. Maitreya is saying that although I am not able to understand the full glories of Krishna, but still I'll try to explain as far as my realization goes. Because if I don't speak the pastimes of Krishna, my tongue will become unchaste. So therefore, after describing this, now Brahmaji starts answering this question of Yat Samstham. Where does creation merge into? So then Brahmaji, he describes the original creator Mahavishnu or Karano Dakshay Vishnu. So from Krishna, Karano Dakshay Vishnu comes. There are many incarnations in between. From Krishna, this Chaturvyuha, Balram comes. Then from Balram, Chaturvyuha comes. From that, Aniruddha, again Chaturvyuha is created. And then from that, Vasudev, in that Chaturvyuha there is one Vasudev. From that Vasudev, this Garbho Dakshay Vishnu, Karano Dakshay Vishnu is formed. And Brahmaji will now describe about this Karano Dakshay Vishnu. So first he describes that, he says that, this Karano Dakshay Vishnu, he creates, maintains and destroys this universe by himself. And then what are the qualities of this Mahavishnu or Karano Dakshay Vishnu? He is supremely pure. He is embodiment of pure knowledge. He is all pervading. He is without a beginning and an end. And somebody will say, but how to know him? Is there a way to know him? Because he is without a beginning and without an end, and he is all truth. So what is the means to know him? Brahmaji says, great thinkers who are free from any material contaminations, they can know him. So somebody will say, Bapre, So now what is the hope for me? Brahmaji will tell in some time. And then he describes, what is the zone of his control? What all things this Mahavishnu is controlling? Actually, this Mahavishnu is controlling everything in this entire creation. He's the master of time, space, cause and effect. He's master of the mind, the elements, the false ego, the modes, the senses. He's the master of the universal form, Garbho Dakshay Vishnu, and everything, sum total of all living beings. So this Karano Dakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu, is the master of everything. So therefore, Brahmaji is saying, but you should not misunderstand that things of this world, they are his Swarup. No. All this world, it is coming from the spark of his potency. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam shrimad urjitam evava tattadeva vagachattam mama tejo amsha sambhavam. So Krishna also said there, whatever you are seeing in this world, it is just a spark of my splendor. So now after describing all this, now Brahmaji says, you had asked me about this creation process. I have described you the process of creation which is done by the Maya Shakti. Parikshit Maharaj had asked two questions. Please tell me about the Maya Shakti of the Lord, and please tell me about the Leela Shakti. He had asked about the Purusha avatars and he had asked about the Leela avatars. Purusha avatars are three: Karano Dakshay Vishnu, Garbho Dakshay Vishnu, and Shiro Dakshay Vishnu. So in response to that, Shukdev Goswami, he started quoting Brahma Narad Samvad. We should know the sequence. Hum log yahan pe kaise aa gaye? What is the sequence which is happening here? Parikshit Maharaj had asked two questions. So first, Narad Muni, Parikshit Maharaj asked questions about, what is the duty of a person who is about to die, what's the duty of a person all the times, what one should hear, chant and remember, what one should not hear, not chant and not remember. And then in response to this, Shukdev Goswami described that one should not talk about things of this world, one should perform bhakti. And then after that, he said bhakti is the ultimate path, this Ashtanga Yoga is not the better way. Then next question Parikshit Maharaj asks, please tell me about the Maya Shakti, this creation of this world by the Supreme Lord, and please tell me about the Avatara, Leelas of the Lord. So in the 5th and 6th chapter, Shukdev Goswami described, quoting the conversation between Brahma and Narad. So he says that Shukdev Goswami said, "Jo question aap mere ko puch rahe hain, same question was asked by Narad Muni to Brahma." And then this whole chapter started 5th and 6th. Now Brahmaji is saying, okay, you asked me about Purushavasaras. I told you about Purushavasaras. Now Shukdev Goswami is saying, Brahmaji is saying that now I'll describe about Leela Avataras of the Lord. So Leela Avataras of the Lord, when we hear the Leela Avataras, Leela of the Lord, there are some benefits. Pradhanyatoyan risha amananti Leela Avataran Purushasya Bhumnaha Apiyatam Karna Kashaya Shoshan Anukramisheta Iman Supeshan. So it is described by Brahmaji that when we hear the Leela of the Lord, these Leelas of the Lord, they are very, very pleasing to hear. And when we hear these pastimes, Karna Kashaya Shoshan, the foul things which are accumulated in the ear, they get destroyed. The same thing, which was told by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Pibantiye Bhagavat Atmanah Katham Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Samhritam Punanti te Vishaya Vidushitashayam Brajanti Tacharana Saroruhantikam. So there also Shukdev Goswami says that whoever drinks this nectar of Hari Katha, Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Samhritam, through his ears, then the result is, two results happen. Punanti te Vishaya Vidushitashayam. He becomes completely purified of the polluted aim of life and he attains the highest abode of the Supreme Lord. So now here the 6th chapter ends, and then the 7th chapter is entitled as the scheduled incarnations with specific functions. So in this chapter, Brahmaji is telling to Narad Muni about various avatars, Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Manvantara avatar, Shaktyavesh avatar, and Vibhutis of the Lord. And he describes the prime reason of the descent of all the avatars. So the list of incarnations are described. You will see that first incarnation he describes is Varahadev. So Brahmaji says, this Varahadev, he took birth from the nostrils of Brahmaji, and the activities, what are the activities of Varahadev? Varahadev is a form of all the sacrifices, and he lifted the whole earth, Bhumandala, when it was fallen in the Garbhodak ocean. And then he fought with Hiranyaksha and he killed him. And then he talks about Kapila Dev. Kapila was the son of Kardam Muni and Devahuti, and he taught this Sankhya philosophy to Mother Devahuti, which we'll discuss in detail in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he talked about Dattatreya. Dattatreya, he appeared from Atri, and he appeared from Atri and Anusuya, and he purified Yadus and Himalayas, and by his dust, they attained spiritual blessings. And then he described about the 4 sons of Brahmaji, the 4 Kumaras, and he described about Naranarayan Rishi, how Naranarayan Rishi, they gave this Urvashi, they produced Urvashi because Indra was getting disturbed, and we know the whole story. So then he describes about Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj demonstrates the administrative potency of the Supreme Lord. Palan Shakti. And then he talks about Rishabhadev, who was the son of Sudevi and Nabhi. So Rishabhadev taught this very beautiful instructions to his sons, the 100 sons, and that we'll be discussing in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he describes about Matsya, Kurma, Narasimha, and then he describes about Lord Hari, who protected Gajendra. When Gajendra, he was caught, attacked by crocodile, and he was praying to Supreme Lord, Muktaya Bhuri Karunaya Namolaya Swamshena Sarvatanu Brahmanasi Pratita Pratyagdrishe Bhagavate Briyate Namaste Madrik Prapanna Pashupasha Vimokshanaya Muktaya Bhuri Karunaya Namolayaya. So he was praying in so many beautiful verses. And then in response to these prayers, the incarnation of the Lord who came is called Hari. And then he talks about Vamanadev, the son of Aditi and Kashyapa, and how he liberated Bali Maharaj by claiming all the 3 worlds. And then he talks about this Manvantara avatars. In Brahmaji's one day, there are 14 Manus. In the reign of every Manu, there is an avatar of the Lord which comes, and that is called Manvantara avatar. So he talks about that. Then he talks about Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari was born from the nectar, the churning of the milk ocean. And then he talks about Lord Ram, and the whole activities of Lord Ram is described, how he was son of Dasharath, and then when he went to the forest under the instruction of his father, and then he vanquished this Ravana, and then he curbed the pride of Ravana along with his life here. That is what is described by Brahmaji. And then, all these pastimes, they are described in 1 verses. But the activities of Krishna is described in around 10 verses, from 26 to 35 verses. Brahmaji describes the activities of Lord Krishna in detail. How Lord Krishna appeared, and what are the superhuman activities of Krishna. How he killed Putana, then Shaktasur, then Adhasur, he chastised Kaliya, and then he protected the Brajvasis from the forest fire. He subdued the pride of Indra by lifting Govardhan, and then he protected his own father from Varuna, and so many pastimes are described. Then he talks about Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is a literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he compiled the Vedas. We discussed about this in detail in the 5th chapter of the 1st canto. He talks about Lord Buddha, and then Kalki, and then he talks about the various Guna avatars. So these are the first 39 verses of this chapter. All the Leela avatars are described by Lord Brahma to Narad Muni. And then after describing all these Leela avatars, Brahmaji is saying, see, whatever I have told you, it is nothing in comparison to the actual glory of the Lord. Because no one can describe the Lord's greatness. Even if one can count the atomic particles of the whole material existence, he will not be able to count the qualities of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. The similar verse comes in the 10th canto also. The same, Brahmaji is praying to Krishna, and after this whole Brahma Vimohan Leela. So there also, Brahmaji is saying, Gunatmanaste api gunan vimatum hitavartirnasya kaishiresya kalena gairvai vimita sukalpair bhupam sava khe mihika dvibhasyai. So there, Brahmaji is saying, oh my Lord, in due course of the time, scientists of this world may be able to count the rays of the sun, the dust particles on this earth, the snowflakes in all the polar regions, but still they will not be able to count your glories. And therefore, Brahmaji says, what to speak of me? Lord Ananta, Shesha, with his 1,000 mouths, he is trying to glorify Krishna from the beginning of creation, but still he has not come to an end till now. Nantam vidamyahamami munyograjaste maya valasya purushasya kuto varaye Gayan gunan dashashatan anadidevaha sheshodhunapi samavasyati nasya param. Sna antam vidami aham. I cannot understand the glories of Krishna. What to speak of me? Shesha, with his Shatanan, 10,000 mouths. The 10,100, that means 1,000. So with his 1,000 mouths, he is chanting the glories of Krishna from the beginning of creation. Still, he has not come to the end. So what to speak of others? Shesha could not understand. What to speak of others? Nobody can know. So then somebody will say, okay, but if no, Shesha cannot know, and Brahma, and you are saying he is also chanting, he is not coming to the end, and then who can know him? Is there anyone who can know the Supreme Lord? Brahmaji says, yes. Only a person who is surrendered unto the Supreme Lord, he can understand by his mercy. And again, very beautiful verses Brahmaji is saying. He's saying, Yesham sha esa bhagavan dayayedanantaha sarvatmana shritpado yadinirvyalikam te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam naisham mamahamati dhi swashrigal bhakshe. So he's saying, the one who is unpretentiously, that means without any duplicity, without making any show. If somebody is surrendering unto Krishna genuinely, by his mercy, he will understand the Lord. Because Lord is Dayayed Anantaha, he is supremely merciful. Problem is, we are not giving ourselves fully. In one of the purport, Prabhupada writes there in the first canto, without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient to the instructions of the spiritual master, nobody can please the spiritual master. And without doing so, nobody can go back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, if we are seriously, sincerely, without any ulterior motives, we are trying to serve the Lord, serve the devotees of the Lord, then Krishna is there ready to show his mercy. As it is described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so very merciful. He is not seeing that who is qualified, who is not qualified. Ei gupta bhava sindhu brahma na pai eka bindu hena dhana bilaila samsare aichedaya lu avatar aichedata nahiyar guna keha nare burni bare. Even Brahma cannot understand the glorious position of Krishna, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is giving this mercy to everyone. Apani kari aswadane shikhaila bhakta gane prema chinta mani prabhudhani nahi jane stan astan yare tare koiladan Mahaprabhu data shiromani. He is tasting himself the nectar of Krishna Katha and he is giving to everyone. He is not thinking whether he is qualified, whether he is not qualified. He is giving to everyone. Because Mahaprabhu is Data Shiromani. And therefore Brahmaji is saying, if anybody surrenders to Krishna, Krishna will reveal his glory to him. Te dustaramati taranti cha deva maya. They can also transcend the deva maya, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi hiesha gunamai mama maya duratya mamevaya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. My material energy is insurmountable. But if somebody surrenders to me, then they can easily cross this ocean of material world. One time, Subhag Maharaj went to Prabhupada and asked, Prabhupada, will a day come when I'll be free from lust? Prabhupada said no. So he became very, discouraged. So maybe he thought Prabhupada didn't hear properly. So he repeated the same question. Prabhupada, after practicing this bhakti, will there a day when I'll be free from this sense gratification, this lust? Prabhupada said no, not possible. He became very sad. After few months, he again thought, maybe next dobar try karte hain. He asked the same question. Is there some hope for me to become free from lust? Prabhupada closed his eyes, thought for a while and said, Govinda Ichha. If Krishna desires. If Krishna shows mercy, then we can easily cross this ocean of material existence. But those Naisham mamaham iti dhi, mam aham iti dhi, those people whose consciousness is me and mine, mam aham, mamata and ahamta, those people who are attached to this body, they are thinking in terms of me and mine. They are meant to be eaten by dogs and jackals at the end. They cannot know Lord. And then Brahmaji describes a list of personalities who have become successful in attracting Krishna's mercy. And there are so many names which are given. Brahmaji says, I know, he's telling to Narad Muni, you know the glories of Krishna. Lord Shiva knows. The greatest demon, Prahlad Maharaj, he knows. Then Swayambhuva Manu, his wife Shatrupa, his sons and daughters like Priyavrata, Uttanpad, Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, Prachina Barhi, Rahu. Then there was one king Raghu. Then Anga, who is the father of Vena. Then Maharaj Dhruva, then Ikshwaku, Muchukunda, then Maharaj Janaka, Gadhi, then Ambarish Maharaj, Sagar, Gaya, Nahush, Mandhata, Shatadhanva, Anu, Rantideva, Bhishma, Bali, Dileep, Shaubari, Shivi, Devala, and the list goes on. Arishtanemi, Vidura, Shrutadev, Shukdev Goswami, Arjuna, Hanuman, Vibhishan. All these great personalities, including Brahma, they have become successful in attracting Krishna's mercy. After hearing the list, Narad Muni starts thinking, Arey Bapre, these are all great personalities. Apne liye kuch ho paye ki nahi? So we are nowhere close to any of them. It seems that lower people cannot understand Krishna. But Brahmaji gives hope for all of us. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brahmaji is saying, don't worry, there is hope for everyone. Even a lowest of a person can know Lord by the mercy of the devotees. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite par, tomar shakati ache. Ami to kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, dhai tava pache pache. Only by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord we can know Him. Not by any of our personal endeavors. Tevaye vidantyati taranti cha deva mayam stri shudra hun shabara pipapa jiva yadi yatyadbhuta krama parayana shila shiksha tiryak jana apikimo shrutadharana ye. So Brahmaji is saying, yes, even lowest of the people, they can also become qualified to know the Lord on one condition. When they can know Lord? When they are inclined to surrender to the pure devotees of the Lord and learn from them. So bhakti depends on service to the devotees. It is based on our eagerness to learn. In Bhagavad Gita also there was one word which came. So in 13th chapter, Krishna says, they are also Shruti Parayana, Anye tu eva jananta Shrutva nebhya upasate, tepi chati tarantyeva mrityam Shruti Parayana. Shruti Parayana, we have to become Shruti Parayana. We have to become dedicated to the process of hearing, dedicated to the process of serving the devotees of the Lord. Only by the mercy of the devotees we can know Krishna. So therefore, because Krishna is there in the heart of his devotees, Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati, Ye me bhakta jana partha, sorry, this is the verse told by Krishna to Arjuna. Ye me bhakta jana partha, name bhakta chate jana, mad bhakta nam chaye bhakta, te me bhakta tamamata. Who says I am devotee of Krishna, he is not my devotee. If somebody says I am devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee in truth. So therefore, Brahmaji is saying, only by the mercy of devotees. Devotees, they play a crucial role in our lives. If somebody thinks I can practice bhakti without any other's help, we are in big illusion. So therefore, Brahmaji is saying, Yati at Atyadbhuta krama parayana shila shiksha. If somebody is inclined to surrender to the pure devotees of the Lord and learn from them, shiksha, they can also know the Supreme Lord. So then after describing this, Brahmaji, he describes about this, he gives the description of super soul, he gives the description of Brahmaji, and establishes the superiority of Bhagavan over Brahman and Paramatma. He says that, the path of Gyan and path of Yoga, they are actually dependent on process of Bhakti. The Gyanis and the Yogis, after certain point of time, they have to give up their path and they have to start practicing Bhakti to achieve the highest realization. Otherwise, they will not attain the highest. They will get something in between. Gyanis may attain Brahman, Yogis may attain Brahman, but if they get attracted to Bhakti, if they get attracted to Bhagavan, they will get highest benefit. So therefore, this proves that the path of Bhakti is higher than the Ashtanga Yoga and the Jnana Yoga. So therefore, after explaining all this, Brahmaji is telling to Narada Muni, "Oh my dear son, I have explained you in brief about the Supreme Lord Hari. Supreme Lord Hari creates the world. Without him, nothing exists now." So Brahmaji is also telling the same thing to Narada Muni now. आपने इतना सुन लिया ना, रोज भागवतम सुन रहे हैं, अभी क्या करना है? Now distribute this Bhagavatam. So this is what Brahma is telling to Narada Muni. I have told you, I have explained you in brief. पूरा नहीं बताया, in brief only I have told you. Now, please distribute this Srimad Bhagavatam. Start preaching. Oh Narada Muni, please expand and disseminate this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. This Bhagavatam is a collection of Lord's vibhutis. So therefore, somebody may say, Bhakti is characterized by hearing and chanting about Lord's Leelas, which are very pleasing, To hear about the pastimes of the Lord are very pleasing to the ears. It is very, very attractive. But, the pastimes of the Purusha Avatar, abhi jo 2-3 chapter mein suna humne, it is all very, very complex topic. And what is all this? Lord's dealing with the material energy Maya Shakti. Why you should hear about Maya? Should we describe about Maya? What is the role this Maya has in our lives? Brahmaji says it has a very important role. If we hear about the Lord's potency, if we discuss about Maya, we will not be bewildered by Maya. Mayam varnayato amushya ishwarasya anumodataha shanvata shraddhaya nityam mayayatmana muhyati. If we know what is the Lord's Maya energy, Maya potency, will not get attracted by the Maya potency. Mayam varnayato. If we hear and describe the external potency of the Lord, then Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Shraddhaya means with faith, constantly, regularly, if we hear about the material energy of the Lord, then the result will be Mayaya Atmana Muhyati. We will not be attracted by Maya. So therefore, Prabhupada would say sometimes, the only problem is my devotees, they don't fear Maya enough. We are not fearing Maya enough. We are thinking by our, some silly ways of chanting and by doing some services, by not taking seriously, chalega, sab chalta hai. No, it will not work. All of us may have spent many, many years in Krishna consciousness. Now we have to grow in our Krishna consciousness to become more and more deeper, more and more committed, more and more strong. That's why we should understand this Maya Devi, the material energy of the Lord, is insurmountable. So the more we hear about the power and the insurmountable nature of the Maya potency, to that extent we'll strive to the best of our capacity. And we hear in the story of Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur, Kaviraj Goswami is describing graphic description about when Maya Devi comes to personally test Haridas Thakur. Maya Devi, with his full glory, came in a form of very beautiful women to test Haridas Thakur. And day after day, 3 days consecutively, she came. And she was displaying all her feminine beauty, which even great sadhus and the sober people could not resist. But Haridas Thakur, he was so very absorbed in chanting Krishna Nama Vishtamana Sada Haridas Aranye Rodita Hoila Stri Bhava Prakash. Krishna Nama Vishtamana. The mind of Haridas Thakur was completely absorbed in chanting. Aranye Rodita Hoila. It was as if you go in the forest and you cry for help. Nobody will listen. So all the Sri Bhava Prakash, all the display of the feminine beauty of this Maya Devi had no effect on the mind of Haridas Thakur. So therefore, we have to be aware. We have to know that Maya, the fight which we have started against Maya Devi is not so easy. It is a biggest fight, and after saying Akraman, if the soldier goes to sleep, so jayega, so then what will happen? So just by taking bead bag in our hand, we have declared to Maya Devi, I am against you, I am fighting. So if after waging a war against Maya, if we don't take all the precautions, if we don't have all the weapons ready, our gun is HK-108, that is our machine gun. If we don't chant properly, if we don't chant attentively, then it is very difficult. So therefore we have to hear about the power of Maya so that we are protected from Maya and will strive to the best of our capacity. So this is the end of the 7th chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If anybody has any questions, they can ask. If we follow this path of Krishna consciousness, will we still have to suffer another life, or we progress to Lord's abode, and what factors does this depend on? Yeah, it depends on what we think about at the last moment of our life. Yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tejyatyante kalevaram tam tam eva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavataha. Whatever form one remembers at the time of death, he attains that form without fail. And if we are practicing this process throughout the life, then for sure we'll be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. That is the final exam we have to give. So this is the only factor, what we remember at the time of death. For that we have to prepare our whole life. Is Maya something which is part of the Supreme Lord? If yes, why does it work against humans? So Maya Devi, the question is, if Maya Devi is a part of Lord, then why she is working against humans? Maya Devi is a surrendered servant of the Supreme Lord. Actually, Maya Devi is the external potency of the Lord. The work of the Maya Devi is to test our determination, test our desire. Just like in our school days, all of you, if you are studying, and every year you have to give a test to go to the next semester or next year, higher standard. So what is the role of the teacher? The teacher tests the eligibility of the student. Is he qualified to go to the next class? If yes, then he'll be promoted. If no, he'll have to stay in the same class for some more time. Similarly, the Maya Devi, she tests our determination. She tests our desire to go to the spiritual world by giving lots of allurements, And if we get attracted, then we lose the ultimate goal of attaining the spiritual world, like that. So this is a thankless task which Maya Devi is doing. Please explain that with the end of one day of Brahma, all yugas end. Then with the start of new day, does the entire creation process repeats? And does Lord Krishna again takes all same incarnations? Does same soul of all those asuras commit the same sin for the Lord to manifest his pastime? Wow, so many questions. So, actually, There are various types of pralaya which are described in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is Nitya pralaya, Naimittika pralaya, Prakritik pralaya, and Atyantika pralaya. Nitya pralaya means the annihilation which is happening every moment. Some cells in the body are getting destroyed, some things of this world are getting destroyed every moment. That is called Nitya pralaya. There is called Naimittika pralaya. What is Naimittika pralaya? Naimittika pralaya happens at the end of day of Brahma. So Brahmaji lives for 100 years. His one day has 12 hours of day, and one day has 12 hours, and Brahmaji's night is also 12 hours. So whole 24 hours is 12 hours day and 12 hours night. So in the beginning of the birth of Brahma, on day one, Brahmaji, he finds, as we discussed today, he finds that, he's on the lotus flower, he doesn't know what to do. He's confused. Karna kya hai, kidhar se aaya main? So that is the question, confusion of Brahmaji. So then what happens? He hears two words, tapa. We'll discuss about this tomorrow. Tapa. So he does all the tapasya, Supreme Lord manifests, he gives all the directions, and then Supreme Brahmaji creates this entire universe, the 14 planetary systems. And then pura creation ho gaya, then 12 hours of Brahma. What is 12 hours of Brahma? In 12 hours of Brahma, there are 1,000 yuga cycles. 1,000 yuga cycle means Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. This is one yuga cycle. Like this 1,000 yuga cycle pass by in one day of Brahma. So after this 1,000 yuga cycles are gone, Brahmaji has to sleep. So Brahmaji sleeps for 12 hours, again 12 hours, again 1,000 yuga cycles. He's sleeping. So Brahmaji, as he's sleeping, when he gets up the next day, what happens? All the lower planetary systems up to Bhuvar Loka, Swarga Loka, sorry, it gets merged in the water of Garbhodak Ocean. Again, every day, Brahmaji has to create everything. Just imagine if you have some business and you have created the whole business out of and taking lots of struggle. So yeah, next day, adha business gaya pani mein, So that is what is happening with Brahmaji every day. So Brahmaji again has to meditate. Then he has to pray to the Lord, please, for strength. Again, he creates. So that is what is happening in every day of Brahma. That is called Naimittika Pralaya. There is something called Prakritik Pralaya. Prakritik Pralaya happens at the end of Brahma's life. So now, our Brahma, this universe, Brahma is 51 years old. Brahma's 51st year is going on now. In the 51st year, day 1 is going on. In that day 1, 28th Yuga cycle is going on. In day 1, there is 7th Manu is going on. In that 7th Manu, there is 28th Yuga cycle which is going on. So all this is complex calculation. Don't worry about that. So like this, 100 years pass by, Brahmaji dies. Brahmaji also is a human living entity. He dies. After Brahmaji dies, this entire creation is destroyed. That is called Prakritik Pralaya. And then there is called, and all the manifestation goes back in the navel of Mahavishnu. There is something called Atyantika Pralaya. Atyantika Pralaya means living entity destroys his false ego by the process of bhakti and goes back to the spiritual world. So in every in one day of Brahma, there are 1,000 yuga cycles. Okay, so if you divide 1,000 by 14, it comes to around 71. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 manus which come. In every manu, all the incarnations of Krishna, they come in various yuga cycles. There are 71 yuga cycles. So now abhi hamara jo hai 28th yuga cycle chal raha hai. Lord Parshuram came in the 18th yuga cycle, not in this yuga cycle. Lord Ram came in the 23rd yuga cycle, not this yuga cycle. This is a very interesting information for all of you. जो लॉर्ड राम का स्टोरी सुनते हैं हम, वो ये युग साइकिल का नहीं है. That was 23rd yuga cycle. अभी 28th चल रहा है. So, which all incarnation will come at which time, that is not, described. That may be described, I don't know the details. So, Lord takes incarnations in every day of Brahma. It is described in the 3rd chapter we discussed in the 1st canto. There are as many incarnations of the Lord as there are waves in the ocean. So all these questions are answered. Okay, does the same soul of all the asuras, they are also living entities according to their karma. They get different body, and according to their inclinations, they may perform some sinful activity, and they'll get the reaction, and Lord will manifest His pastimes according to that. So that is what is happening. So Hanumanji was also given this benediction that you will stay on this planet, on this Bhumandal. He's not on this planet. He's not on Earth. He's not on this Bhukhanda. He's on Kim Purusha Varsha. There is a whole Bhumandal. So there is a Bharat Varsha, there is a Kim Purusha Varsha. So Hanumanji is staying in Kim Purusha Varsha. So Hanumanji was giving this blessings. I'm not sure about the details, but he was given this blessings that till the time Lord Ram's glories are sung on this earth, on this Bharat Varsha, you stay on this, then you come back to the abode of Ayodhya, eternal Ayodhya. How do we know which year Brahma? It is mentioned in scriptures. The question is asked, how do we know which year of Brahma is going on? Actually, it is mentioned in the scriptures. Bhagavatam describes Dviparardha. Dviparardha means 50 and 50. So this is the 51st year. It is the beginning of the second Parardha. This is described in the scriptures like that. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.